Welcome to Screw the Stock Market. On this show, we discuss a variety of alternative asset classes, tools to help you unleash your money, a success mindset, and inspiration to see what's possible when we do things differently.
Hey there, thank you so much for tuning into the show. We work really hard to create a lot of content that is educational and informative, and we also want to be the best listeners out there. We want to understand what you are interested in, what kind of investor you are, what your objectives are. And so we've created a survey at screwthestockmarket.com/survey. And there you'll be able to take the quick survey and we'll be in listening. And that'll help us be able to create better content, and we can engage more about how we can help you achieve your goals. So again, screwthestockmarket.com/survey.
Hey everyone, this is Aziz Yusuf from the Screw the Stock Market podcast, and I'm here today interviewing our excellent guest, Caleb Irmler, who will be talking to us about entrepreneurship and the journey that he went through from working out throughout his 20s and getting into his 30s and starting a successful pest control business called Crazy Ant Pest Control, and then transitioning from that to, the Raw Entrepreneur coaching program, where he coaches entrepreneurs on how to basically maximize their businesses and become more efficient business folks. So we're very excited to get into this. Caleb, thank you for joining us. This is one of those episodes that we look forward to just because a lot of times on the show, we end up interviewing a lot of people in the finance fields, a lot of people who are just investors and things of that nature, but pure raw entrepreneurs, we haven't had quite as many of them as we would like. So we're very excited to talk to you today and just get into the weeds of how you were able to just automate this business and get it running and be successful at it. But before we get into all that, we'll give you an opportunity to introduce yourself.
Hey, it's great to be here. My origin story is I actually got my degree in pastoral theology. I thought I was going to be in ministry. And so I went to and I did all this volunteering work and I didn't get paid for anything. And I thought that was going to be my life, just broke, but serving people. Like I just had that mindset. And then I was working at a church and 2008 hit. And I would half my city depended on the car manufacturing for their jobs, and just 25% of the city I lived in just lost all their jobs. And that actually came down to me even in ministry, where they're like, we don't actually have any money to actually keep you even on staff. And I'm like, I got a ministry pay. It's not even like I'm being paid that much. And so I went, and so I'm like, okay, so we'll just do whatever we have to. And I just worked a ton of different jobs. And I'm going to get through this quickly because I know this is 15 years and 15 seconds.
Take your time.
Somebody was like, there's a job in pest control. I knew nothing. I didn't know it was an industry. They're like, there's a job opening Monday through Friday, $9 an hour. The guy just walked off the job. And I'll be there in an hour. Walked up and said, hey, I heard about a guy. He walked off the job an hour ago. I can do his job. I have no idea what his job was. I don't know anything about the industry or what he did all day. I was just very confident, like I can do this. And then I got into it and learned about the industry. And for the first time in my life, I was working like that 8 to 5, Monday through Friday type job. And I remember just sitting down at Starbucks and I'm just like doing the math. And I'm making, my base pay is $24,000 a year. I'm doing every bonus, every overtime thing there is. So now I'm making $40,000 a year. To get to $1 million, I would have to save every penny I make, not eat, not have a roof over my head, not have a car, not have a cell phone, and put everything I have like in savings for 25 years if I keep on doing what I'm doing right now. And it's just basic math, and it's almost depressing. You're like, that's if I don't eat, if I don't have anything. It would still take me 25 years to get here. And I'm like, there's gotta be a better way. I'm like, broke is a joke. So I do what every person does at this point. I'm like, Google, how to be a millionaire. And I found a podcast probably a lot like yours, and they just interview origin stories of how people did it. And I remember just being hooked on that for the next 6 months and said, okay, I'm just gonna do it. We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna take it to the next level. And I saved up. I just scrimped for everything. Got $10,000 saved up. I didn't have money. I didn't have a mentor showing me how to do it. I didn't have a map. I didn't know about incorporating or W-2s. I had clueless about all this stuff. I had a ironing board as my standing desk. I had a Target printer that was $29 as my printer. I got a burner phone from Virgin for $25 a month as my work cell. And I remember like just starting from the ground up with absolutely nothing.
You took bootstrapping to another level.
Exactly. And a lot of people think they have to have all this stuff to get started. But the truth is, usually it's just like a duck. Things line up once you start moving. And a lot of people overthink things and they take too long to move on things. And I hate this because it's like the truth of it. It's like people are like afraid they're going to mess up and fail and lose a bunch of money. And all I can say is, yes, so get it out of the way. Like they say, fail forward, fail fast. Because everybody does. There's nobody that starts a business that does everything right, that everything just, your fairy godmother comes down and everything is beautiful. But in that process right there, you find that you are capable of so much more than you ever thought. Once you get in it, once you push yourself to the boundaries, you are able to do so much more than you ever thought possible once you get in there in those trenches. And it's really, I'm going to say, grit sometimes is one of the biggest drivers. Now, I know a lot of people that are listening on this podcast, a lot of people are clocking out right now because you're like, okay, I never plan on doing my own business. I never plan on going down this road. I am looking for passive income. I like when they talk about real estate and then I'm going to get this person to manage my real estate, or they're telling me about the interest rates where if I can do this bank account and I'm getting 5% interest rate from this bank account. And I know this is a little bit different because we're talking about a little bit more of a niche thing, going from that 9 to 5 and actually getting a business, starting it from nothing to the place where it can run yourself. You build the automations, you build the teams, and it becomes an asset in yourself. And there's a bunch of beautiful things about building a business. Everybody talks about the tax write-offs, but there's also the value of the assets you create, such as if you're buying the building you're in, or if you are buying the equipment you're in. Some depreciate faster than others, but you actually can be building wealth just in those type of areas in your business, where I know people that they retire and their business like dies at the end, but they were smart enough to be buying their own building and they sell that for 1.5 million, even though their business failed. But that's not what we're going for, obviously. But there's those assets in your business. Also, there's the recurring revenue in your business. So you are getting that recurring revenue all the time. And then finally, depending what industry you're in, and this is what's setting up, depending where you get in, I think is so important. I'll maybe go back to this, but is there somebody out there already wanting to buy you out? There's certain industries that there are hundreds of huge companies that if you grow, they want to buy you out. There's certain industries that you get in that everybody talks about that I don't want to dash people's hopes because you can. There's people that beat the odds, but restaurants are horrible. Like the average small business sells for $800,000. The average restaurant sells for $200,000.
Wow.
The average restaurant fails, 60% fail within 12 months. And yet these are the things people, these are the things people think about. Oh, I'm going to get into photography. I'm going to start a restaurant. And there are some that are successful and make it, but when you're talking about automating something, getting into something that has to be open till 10, 11 at night, that has to be open 7 days a week, these get really hard to automate. And a lot of times people are not thinking 5 years and 10 years down the road. They're like, oh man, they told me I make the best pies. So I'm going to open a pie shop. We're going to be open at 6 in the morning to 10 at night. And then we're going to clean the restaurant from 10 to midnight. And then we're going to get back there at 4 in the morning to get the dough ready. And they're going to open 7 days a week. And they get into it and they're like, how does anybody become an entrepreneur? And I look at those people and my hat goes off to them. I'm like, I don't know how you do it. Pick it. So the industries that you pick to get in from the very beginning. So if you're looking to cross over There's a lot of amazing industries, but I would say if you're at the beginning, you were like I was 8 years ago. You are in a job, you're looking at it, and you're like, it's just not making sense. The first thing I would look at is, where is the money? Where's the vacuum in your area? Because a lot of times we talk about passion, and my personal opinion on passion is, be so passionate that it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're going to be passionate because you bring the passion.
It's good that you say that. Alex and I were having this conversation previously about the ideas of passion. We know so many people who are very successful in their W-2 jobs, and they love their job because they're very passionate about it. But the amount of energy that they put into these jobs, these passion jobs, does not equate to what they should be earning in terms of the time, sweat, stress. I know one person that like their health is now suffering as a result of this, just because they put so much into their job. But I like what you said. Passion is in doing anything than doing it well.
Absolutely. I think sometimes we are attracted to other people. It's like a fire. Like when somebody else is passionate about something, it's like having a fire and you're attracted to somebody else's fire. And we talk about that being passion, but the truth is, I feel like true passion is like other people attracted to you, because no matter what you're doing, you're excited about it. You bring energy to the room, and people are like, what's he doing? And sometimes of what people I talk about passion, I'm like, you're really just trying to borrow somebody else's fire. They're excited about it, and you get excited about it because that leader of that organization is an amazing leader. But it's not really your passion, it's a borrowed fire that you're sitting at. And so I know that's just me, so I don't want to like step on too many toes on that. But I'm like, if you're really passionate, it's other people that are going to be coming to you. If it's something that's inside of you. And it's just my own personal take, and I could definitely be wrong on some of these things.
I like it. I think it's a very healthy and positive way of looking at it. You're not trapped within that one framework of what you view as your passion when you look at it within that same context that you just brought up. So I like that, because one of my things is freedom in everything, not only in terms of making money, but also in terms of how you use your time and what you do with your time. So I definitely jive with that idea that you just presented.
So I know everybody's going to be different. I think success leaves clues. And so I think a podcast like this is applicable to a lot of people that are not even going down this road. But I know the few that are thinking, how do I get started? So I'm working a W-2 job. I like the idea of having either a side hustle or side income, or just going all in. I'm done. I'm working for somebody else. I'm ready to be my own boss. And right now, I personally have both of those, because I have my main business that I started 8 years ago, Crazy Ant Pest Control. And I have Raw Entrepreneur, where currently I work with 20 small business owners that are making this leap for themselves. And we are going down step by step. What does this look like? Where does this process take you? And we try to take a one-page business plan, take something that's super complicated, and let's just break it down into some super easy, one page, have a visual. We can get into the weeds later. But the first thing I always talked about people, like when you're going to start a business, where are your leads coming from? Because a lot of people start with, I'm good at something. It's super easy to hire people that are good at something. And that's what people forget. They're like, I'm really good at this and this. I am really good at killing bugs. I haven't killed a bug in 2 years. I'm really good at it, though. I own Crazy Ant Pest Control. I teach about killing bugs all the time, but I don't do it. And in that process, a lot of times, if you are successful at what you're getting into, you won't be the person flipping the hamburgers very long. At the beginning, yes. But if you're going to automate it, eventually you're not going to be the person doing that. And so that's something a lot of people are like, and that can actually, a passion can actually hold you back. So if you're like, I just love flipping hamburgers, that for a lot of people might actually hold you back from automating a business and making it successful, because now you become the bottleneck because you're the only person that can make a perfect hamburger. And so you can.
Yeah, no, I fully get that. I know, for example, Alex and I have looked at like purchasing some businesses and things lately as another option for investing and putting our capital into. And one of the bottlenecks that we always come to is whenever we talk to people who are industry that we can utilize as mentors or different people with experience, their first idea is, oh, no, you can't automate that. You got to be in the trenches. You got to work hard. You got to know the business inside and out. And this is not easy. You guys think that you're going to be hands off. And in our mind, we're like, no, we're not going to be hands off, but we're not going to be sitting there 9 to 5 every single day. The goal is to get you something that will purchase you freedom, not to get another job, which is
Yes.
essentially what they envision that you should have, is another job. So it's always been this kind of disconnect.
To work on the business and to steer the ship is the most important task. The Titanic, obviously, steering the ship, all this work, all this energy, thousands of people, millions of dollars, but because the person steering the ship wasn't as good as they needed to be, everything fell apart. And
Right.
that's what people, okay, so I'm with you. I'm talking to people, I'm looking at buying businesses, and I'm seeing a major trend. Number one, they're all retiring. They're all in their 70s. They've all owned their businesses for 40 years. Number two, they all have a son in the business that doesn't want to take it over. Number three, they all are still working 10-hour days, 6 days a week. And they're all in the trenches. And a lot of the businesses are the same ones. So I'm still looking, I'm looking a lot in the same industry of pest control. It's something I know, so why reinvent the wheel? And I sit down with people on a monthly basis. I'm putting offers into it to buy out other pest control businesses. And they all sit down with me and they're like, if you take over, this is going to need to be done. And I'm thinking, I actually have a staff of supervisors that know how to do all this stuff already. And they're just going to just dovetail it because they're already doing it. Yeah. And most of the stuff they do, I'm like, you don't have to. But it's a mindset they've never been able to break. And it's a very easy and hard thing at the same time. Building an amazing team is the easiest and hardest thing you'll ever do if you get into business. Getting there, you're going to have people that are going to break your heart, that are going to stab you in the back, that are going to steal from you. But once you have an amazing team that surrounds you and you all have each other's back, it is the best thing in the world, because now you have everything that you started and you're like, I want the freedom. I want to be able to, whatever your thing is, I wanted the ability to just have enough time to go work out. I wanted to be able to spend more time with my family. I wanted to travel the world. I'm just listening to things I did last year. You have your own things. And these things now become an opportunity. You can do these and once you get to that point. And what I find a lot of people, somebody put it this way, double time, part time for full time, fun time. If you want to make a transition your life, it's going to take double the work for a certain amount of time so that you can do half the work later. Think of it like playing the piano. I don't know how to play the piano, but I imagine if I started right now and they wanted me to play a song, it might take me 2 or 3 months to learn one song of piano. Now, in 4 months from then, if somebody were to ask me to play that same song that took me 3 months to learn, I could probably sit down and just play it, because it took me 3 months to learn it, and now I have that and I can play it. It doesn't take me 3 months, it takes me 3 minutes. And in business, it's the same way. A lot of times, it takes a lot of time to level up, to get the knowledge, to build the team. But once you're there, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. You don't have to read to learn how to play the piano to play a song every single time. So it can be very hard at the beginning, but once you get past that dip, then you have a world out there, and you're like, and that's why people say, oh, this is so easy. This is so easy. And the other people are like, this is so hard, I could never do this. Yeah, because the process is, but once you've learned, then you're like, oh yeah, this is so easy because I learned how to do it. I learned how to go through the process.
I wish you were one of the business managers that we've been negotiating with. It's been difficult to tell them that just not having background in their particular industry is fine. Because, like, for example, one deal that we were looking at, the owner, exactly what you described. Older gentleman, I believe in his 70s, retiring, has been in the trenches his whole life from the ground up on this business for 50 years and no one else in the family wants to take it over, and is tied to the idea that you need to be in the trenches and have just as much experience as he does to be able to successfully run this business. But then when we just sat there and looked at it from an objective outsider view, most of the stuff can be outsourced to experts that we could hire or that were already in place. And really, when we broke down what his duties as the owner was, it was basic project management, which anybody can do in their sleep. We do that all day, every day now. So there was no real need for this in-depth expertise and to be in the trenches. You can hire an expert manager underneath you that has experience in the business that could do the day-to-day stuff for you, and just reports up to you and lets you know what's going on, and you just do general oversight. So I think people just get caught up in this. It becomes their identity in a sense, and they feel like it should be your identity as well to be successful.
Yes, it's, you say it's an old school way of thinking, and it is. And I try to come when I'm going to these deals, because I feel like I have this new way of looking at it. I got the way I've run my own businesses, and when I say down, I really have to get into their shoes and realize a lot of these people I'm talking to, and this is another thing I didn't bring up, most these business owners, it also cost them their first marriage and their oldest kid. And this is another thing I see, and I don't know if you see the same pattern. Yeah. And so they gave up the relationship with their oldest son and their first wife, and they sacrificed it. And a lot of times, like you said, their health for this business, and this business is their identity. And when you come in, and because they paid such a dear price for it, they're not subjective on what it could be or how it's currently run, because how do you put a price on those things?
Yeah, great point.
And so it's a very hard thing talking to these, and I'm trying to get better at it, like reassuring them that we're family, that we put people first, that we do value hard work. Like, just because we're trying to automate it and stop using paper and moving to CRMs, I say around here, our customers don't care how long we drove to get to their house. Our customers don't care about how much paperwork we did. They don't value any of that stuff. So why do we value it? Like, we need to make sure our drive time is as small as possible. We need to make sure our paperwork is as little as possible, because they're not paying us 1 penny more because we spent an extra hour doing paperwork for them. And so all these things that can be automated, like, we need to, like, it's something I constantly repeat. I'm like, stop valuing things our customers don't value. But so much of them, their identity and how they did it. And where I came from, I tell the story all the time. The pest control company I was coming from 8 years ago were using carbon copies, no internet, and the program that they were using was written on DOS software. So it had to be run through DOS in 1983.
And they never saw a reason to change.
Every single person had to come to the office an hour of their day, to do nothing but paperwork. Every piece of paper got went through 3 times, triple checked, triple filled out. One CRM software, when it finally sold out, it saved them $20-30 million a year, because how big the company was.
Wow. That's crazy.
And you start taking a company with hundreds of employees, and all of a sudden they upped their production by 50% overnight per person.
I can imagine if you're not sitting there filling out forms all day.
So they just went in and they went through the process, and yeah, it is. It's really hard to walk into these things and you can say, hey, each person should be doing 50% more. And they're like, how do we do 50% more? I'm so bogged down. And you're like, no, I don't want you to work harder. I just don't want you to triple fill out these forms, and I don't want you to drive in circles. I want to have the route closer together, so you're not wasting time driving. You're not wasting time driving forms. You're not having to do this pointless work. What are the things that you hate? What are the things that cause, I call them friction points. What are our friction points? What are our customers' friction points? Let's focus on those first, because they become a stress point for us. And often it's not the hardest things that we hate, it's the most stressful things that we hate. So if you can get rid of those stressful things you hate first, and then work on the things that are hard. But a lot of things, hard things, we would rather do hard things than stressful things. And to take it a step further, don't want to go too deep, but we would rather do what's familiar than what's easy. And
I was going to say, that makes complete sense. Most people just, like you said, they thrive on difficult things because they think that's the right way to do things.
yes. And why would you use a car when you can just run really fast? And you're looking at them from your perspective and you're like, there are some things that we can implement. We're not going to work. We're not being lazy, but we're being efficient. And when we implement these things, it gives you an ability to do some really cool things. So I'm going to do one thing I do for my staff right now that I implemented is we have flex days at the end of the month. So if there's usually 1,000 jobs you have to do in a month, and this month we only have 900, what used to happen is they used to just do a little bit less every single day and work right to the end of the month. Now I'm like, no, keep it the same. And when you get to the last day of the month, anybody that wants a 3-day weekend can take it.
It's a good incentive.
and you can start working with people and they're like, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, I don't mind these policies so much. We had just never stopped. And now I get a 3-day weekend every single month at this company without tipping into my vacation time. Like, I don't know anybody else that's giving me that. And so when you go into those, and those are ways you can win over the staff back to you, because they're going to hate you just because you're different when you buy a new company for no other reason that you're not the old guy. I had loyalty to him. I don't have loyalty to you. And so doing things like that, but going back to that first step, I know we're going backwards because we jumped right into the weeds of things, the nitty gritty. But if you're looking to get started, I would look at where are you getting your leads from first? Like, where's the money coming from? You figure out where the money's coming from, and then finding people that can do the work is actually not the hard part. It is hard to figure it out. Like, I wasn't good at hiring, and the last few people I've hired for, I've gotten 500 applications for every position I have opened, the last few that I've had. But it took me a while to get to that. But you can hire, you can figure that out, how to get the right people, how to set it up so that they want to work for you, that they understand the process. But what you really need to know is, where is my money coming from? And is that recurring or is it one time? I'm very big believer on getting recurring cash. I love the Netflix model of you pay $10 every single month to watch your favorite show. And getting on that where you have recurring revenue, so it's not one and done. And then, so where's your cash coming from? Do I have recurring revenue? And then finally, is there $10 billion companies that are buying everybody in your industry? So that there's going to be a bidding war if you ever want to get out. And so before you get in, I want to look at those 3 factors first. And those are the 3 ones that I really like if you're going to jump into business. Do I have a source of leads where all the money is going to come from? Is this recurring money, or is it like mattresses because the economy is good? I'm selling a lot of mattresses, but when the economy goes down, we're not selling any mattresses. And then at the end, no matter if it's a good economy or a bad economy, are there $5 to $10 billion companies in my industry that are constantly buying companies like me out, so that I have an exit plan of retirement, a hit by a bus plan, and everything. And so if you're looking to get into those, there's a lot more questions, but I would encourage people to see if you could answer those 3 questions first before you jump into an industry.
Those are good starting points for anyone who's looking to purchase a business. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, what if you've already targeted and figured out a business that you want to purchase? What do you do to figure out, okay, how am I going to streamline this business to make it more efficient and more profitable? What things do I look for? What steps do I need to take?
So hopefully I say this word, and I'm surprised how many people don't know what it is. So I hope everybody knows what this is. A CRM, Customer Relationship Management Software. You want to be able to automate everything. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get that software, find a really good software that does everything for you. So personally, I have 100 active customers that we work with on a month-to-month basis, and probably a total of about 3,000 to 4,000 customers. And this is going to manage everything from taking their credit card, scheduling appointments, automated text reminders, phone calls, mailers. This is going to just do the whole 9 yards. It's going to track everybody's schedules. And so you know what people are doing. It's going to give you averages on how much every person is making per day, per month. It's going to give you your KPIs, key predicting indicators of where your business is. And a good CRM is going to save you a ton of time, because as long as everything you do goes right into that system, then forget paper, forget this whole trail, find a great software. And that software is going to save you so much time. It's going to be your first step on automating. I can keep on going as much as you want.
No, please go. Give us a list. I think
Second thing
people want to know.
Second thing I would look at, you can use places to just text back. And I know people that you can buy services that will text people, real people. One thing I like doing in my personal industry is we still do a lot with phone calls. And I hire a company to answer calls at 2 a.m, because this is what it goes like. Somebody calls in, hey, I've got an emergency, it's 2 a.m. If nobody picks up, nobody's leaving messages for companies. They're going to call the next one, call the next one, call the next one. But if you have a person at 2, 3 a.m. that's picking up the phone, you are not losing those leads. And let's say something happens where you're open 8 to 5, but it's your beginning. You're the only person in the company, and something happens where you just can't be available for 3 hours. Having a service that can make sure every phone call gets picked up, gets transmitted. Some of them even will be able to do appointment setting for you for as little as like $40. So in other words, let's say you're a pool company. You could actually hire a company for $40 an appointment. They would take all your phone calls, all of them. If it's not a sale call, they will automate that for you. They will put a message, transcribe it, and text it to you. Said, hey, this person's calling. They see some green algae in their pool, and they'll text that over to you. And if it's a new customer, they get $40 for actually putting that into your schedule. So you say on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to do bids. And so they will put it in, and they say, hey, great news. We have an opening on Tuesday, and we have an opening on Thursday, actually with the owner. Will actually be able to come out. He'll be able to give you a bid on that pool, get it cleaned on a regular basis. And now you're paying per close, and you don't have to have a full-time office person. Here in California, that costs you about $3,200 a month for an office person to pick up the phone. Instead, you're just paying per lead at $40 an appointment they set for you. And you can get that. And it also makes it look like you're a bigger company than you are, because you're like, it's just me, but now they have people answering the phone. And you have a whole team that's answering the phone, and now they're like, hey, this is Super Duper Clean Pools. How can I help you today? And it looks like you have an entire staff from day one. You put a sharp website together, they can contact you there. You have that team working for you that you only pay when they perform. And then all you need to do is put an ad out for $20 an hour, and then put some bonus incentives for them. And they can run that pool cleaning business for you. So you have one person doing all the pool cleaning for you. You have the other section setting it all up. Maybe at the beginning, you're running those estimates at the beginning yourself, but either that $20 worker gets good enough so they can run those, or you pull in a manager once you get 2 or 3 people going. And all of a sudden, you can automate a pool cleaning business. And I'm just using that as an example of how you can set this up with a good CRM and a good call center working together, add on a good tech there, and you can basically run a business right from the get-go with you still working full-time at your own job, especially if you're making a lot of money. I talk to people, and I know this, go back to this, I talk to people making $250,000 a year to making $10,000 a year. And I think where you're at in your job depends how much you should jump into the deep end. If you're making $250,000 a year, it's probably better if you just automate it and basically try to hire out from the very get-go, because you're not going to make that much money. You're not going to pull it in. But if you're the guy making $10,000 a year, yeah, do it all yourself at the beginning. Yeah, you're going to be able to pay yourself more than anybody else is paying for you, doing the work and jumping in. And of course, everywhere in between it's going to be harder. It's harder when people are like, I make about $80,000 a year. Should I jump in, or should I work at my regular job, What should I do? And those are hard decisions to make, but you can see where you're at, where's your risk, how much you want to be in it, how big is your runway? I'm sure they've heard about that. How long can you go, and things like that. And so those are the kind of the factors that you'll have to figure out when you jump in. But those are ways you can automate a business even from day one.
That's good stuff. That's very valuable things. And I think most people are really going to benefit from that because it helps them conceptualize the actual steps. A lot of times when people are trying to get into business, they're like, I know no idea where to start or what to do. What am I even supposed to be looking for? But I like that. That's clear, actionable things that they can take that can just get a business up and running and being successful from right off the bat. So thank you. Thank you. Those are great things. This has been a very fruitful conversation, Caleb. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but can you let folks know how they can get in touch with you and if they need to reach out to you for more information or anything?
Absolutely. Probably the best place right now. I'm probably most active this year on LinkedIn, just Caleb Irmler. Love my name because it's not super common. It's Irmler. And just reach out to me on LinkedIn as long as don't put something vague like, I could just have 30 minutes of your time. Just be like, hey, I was listening to Screw the Stock Market, listen to your podcast. Put something in there and I'll definitely respond to you. If it's vague and it looks like it got sent out to 100 people, I probably will skip it. You can also look at our website, Raw Entrepreneur. It's very basic at this time. Like I said, there's so many people that have come to me that I haven't really developed the part that people see of Raw Entrepreneur, because right now I work with about 20 small business owners, and that's my max right now. So I am taking more people on, but we're at the upper echelon of how much time I want to spend. And so we're capping it out around 20, and that's where we're at this moment. But reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way to contact me.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We definitely appreciate having you on the show. And yeah, maybe hopefully we can have you back again for more information. We always love having these talks with folks, and we always love having them come back and share more information with us. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent.
Bye.